Hello, Lauren. How are you doing today?
Pretty well. How are you doing, Sonata?
I'm doing well as well.
Good.
All right. So, when I have a new person on the podcast, I ask a question similar to this. What is something that the Lord is teaching you about Himself right
Ooh.
now?
The Lord is teaching me that He wants to communicate with us and will be patient while we figure out what His voice sounds like, while we learn to discern it. He's so kind and
Mm,
so gentle. And I feel like I've longed to have a ready ear for the Lord, but I've struggled sometimes to know exactly how to discern, is that me? Is that you? And I'm just
hmm
engaging him with that. And he's been waiting, but like he's engaging me back. And I just find him so patient and kind and clear. So I feel like that's what I'm
mm,
learning right now.
that's good. We serve a good God.
Right? All
We
the
serve a good
time.
God. Just made me want to smile. All right. So, Lauren, who are you? What do you do? Tell the people about yourself.
Yeah, my name's Lauren Matthews. I live outside of Chicago. I have done that for the last, it's coming up on 11 years, although
Okay.
I'm a native Californian and I will never claim Illinois as home,
Mm-hmm.
but it's a
Okay.
lovely place
Okay.
to be. I'm a dating and relationship coach. So I help people demystify modern dating so they can get what they want out of love, find the love that they've been longing for.
Beautiful. Love that. So our platforms go hand in hand.
For sure.
Um so yeah, me and Lauren were having a little chit chat in the DMs. I posted I'm forgetting her name now, but she put a story up of her dancing with her husband, and Lauren was like, "We need to talk about this." And I was like, "Let's do that."
Yeah.
So that's why we are here today. So I want to hear a little bit about your background. Like, how did your church growing up view dancing?
In a word, evil. Like dancing wasn't
Mm,
necessarily bad in my upbringing, and it's interesting because it's not just like it wasn't relegated to just the way people dance at the club. It was like, we need to be suspicious of tap and ballet and jazz
mm,
and modern dance, and just there wasn't a lot of comfort or ease with our bodies in general. There was a lot of policing of our
mhm.
bodies, but like definitely dancing was a no-no.
Yeah. Wow. And you know what? I was telling one of my friends that I was gonna do this episode, and she's like, "Why are you doing it on dancing?" And I'm like, "Well, some churches, you're not allowed to do that." And she's like, "What?
Yeah.
They David danced in the Bible." And I'm like, "Yes, David did dance."
I was thinking
He
about
sure did.
I was thinking about that when you were when I was thinking about talking with you, and I thought maybe he had a special dispensation to dance, like a special exception
Mm,
for his dancing to be okay for the way I grew up. And I'm not throwing
mm,
shade on my religious upbringing. I think there were some real benefits to growing up the way I did, but one of the
mhm.
consequences was just a very black and white view of if dancing is okay or not, and it was definitely not okay.
Definitely. And I think it's interesting that you saw that verse while still being told not to dance. And you said maybe he had a certain way of dancing. So that's so interesting how our brains do that, where we're like, we have to somehow make this true. These two things fit together at the same time.
Yeah, make it make sense for sure.
hmm So that's so interesting how the brain works. But in the same nature, I'm going to add some verses that speak to this because I feel like there's some people like, girl, you sure you should be dancing? I'm going to tell you. And we getting it right from the word. Okay. Psalms 30:11 says, you turned my wailing into dancing. You removed my sackcloth and clothed me with joy. So removing my sackcloth, that's what people would wear when they're grieving,
Mhm.
and it says, "You clothe me with joy." Then Psalms 149, 2 and 3 says, "Let Israel rejoice in their Maker. Let the people of Zion be glad in their King. Let them praise his name with dancing and make music to him with timbrel," which is basically like a tambourine,
Mhm.
"and harp." And then the last one is in Second Samuel. It says, wearing a linen ephod, David was dancing before the Lord with all his might, dancing with all his might, while he and all Israel were bringing up the ark of the Lord with shouts and the sound of trumpets. So people would worship Christ um, by dancing, and people would um, come out of sadness and grief by dancing. So it's in the Bible, y'all. Take it up with the Lord. It's in there. So that's between you and the Lord if y'all want to disagree with that. So it is a beautiful thing. So why do you think though that singles should take dance classes? What importance is that for us to be doing as single people?
Yeah, I think that, well, to step back a little bit, like if you're grieving your conscience, okay, don't do it, right?
Mhm.
But there's a space and so much to learn when you engage
Mm.
in any fun activity, but especially dancing. So I think for singles, dancing gives you this opportunity, unlike many other places, to know it's the right thing to be engaging with someone. Any kind of lesson does that,
Mm.
but dance class particularly says you're supposed to find a partner. That means it's not against any social rule for you to go up to a stranger and say, "Would you like to dance?" And that's a really
Mhm.
powerful opportunity to get some practice talking to people, getting comfortable in your own skin, building up evidence for yourself that you're not horrible socially, you're
Mhm.
okay. And like it's a great opportunity to just not have everything so ratcheted up and to like release the pressure of male female interactions so that you can be thoughtful and mindful enough to make a good decision. Maybe not a decision about the person you're dancing with, but like I think that practice helps lessen the pressure overall when it comes to interacting with people you might be interested in. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, I think
Did you want to add more to that?
yeah, well, I have a couple of little points, but another one was that just like building any skill, you're going to get more confident, right? If you like dancing, going to a dance class is a great thing to do that you already wanted to do. That's going to build your confidence and build your skill, a little bit of exercise, um, all while giving yourself an opportunity to interact with new people.
Mm. That's good. That's good. That's all good. There's so many different ways I can approach that, but I think that's a great point. Like it takes the pressure away from being the opposite sex in the same space. And I feel
Yeah.
like because I grew up with brothers, I don't really have that like weird tension.
Mm.
I feel like it's helped me. Obviously I get nervous around guys that I'm attracted to. But I think being around men more and just being normal and having fun can definitely help you just calm down a little bit more about it potentially going further, or just being in the space with a man and not having to become something romantic. It could just be something that you're having a good time with that person, and you're also learning about them.
Yes. I mean, when we were chatting in the DMs, I said to you, swing dancing changed my life. And that, what you
Yeah,
just
talk
said,
about that.
is a big part of what happened because I grew up in the thick of purity culture. And so there was a lot of pressure put on male female relationships. Um,
Hmm.
necessarily, male female relationships were sexual. There was
Hmm.
this romantic potential that every male female interaction held, and that is so unhelpful for
Hmm.
relaxing and even being able to discern, do I even like this person? It's just always, oh my gosh, I'm talking to a guy, I can't, just freaking out. So for me, when I went to a swing dance lesson, all the guys were lined up, or in swing dancing there are leads and follows. I'm sure that that's the same in every partner dance, but everybody who was a lead was put in a line, everybody who was a follow was put in a line, and one line rotated and everybody danced with everybody. And in
Mm.
that way, like viscerally, it couldn't be romantically potent because we were just stepping side to side for like 4.5 or 5 seconds, a quarter of a song to practice a move. So there was this other
Mm.
focus that helped me like be able to stop thinking about the thing that was stressing me out. And then I could be free. Then I could just be free to like practice the dance move and have fun and remember my value and worth as a person is not dependent on this person asking me to dance later or um I'm not performing so that they pick me. Like we're just at a dance
Mm.
class. We're just having a good time.
Yeah, that's really good, and that actually reminds me of what I wanted to say as well. Um, well, I'll ask this question first, and then I'll say that. You talked about swing dancing. So, what do you think is like the best kinds of dancing? Because I know some people might be like, "Oh, I could be out here twerking for the Lord." So, what is your best like what type of dance or what way of mingling do you think is the best way to dance with someone?
I think that's going to depend on the person. I know I picked swing because it's a style of dance I felt really comfortable with, because there are really clear rules. There are really clear rules
Mm.
about where everybody's hands go.
Mhm.
It's very clear to discern what's appropriate and what's not. And for me, with
Mm.
the level of sheltering I had, I needed some boundaries, man, to help me feel comfortable with
Yeah.
dancing. So I really like swing. I find the community, like I've been swing dancing in the South, in California, where I'm from, here, where I'm living outside Chicago now, and the swing community is always so friendly.
Mm.
It's warm, it's welcoming. I really like the music. I mean, big band is not the only style of music that I like, but East Coast swing is my dancing jam. So I think a person should, if you're contemplating dance lessons, after you figure out what lessons are available around you, like look up some YouTube videos about what that dance looks like and imagine, like, do I feel comfortable with that?
Mhm.
I like swing. I've heard people really enjoy salsa. Contra dancing is even less touching and very energetic. Some people might like that.
Mhm.
Um, there's blues. There are a lot of options for partner dances.
Yeah. So I think all of the dances that you listed just now, the two people are face to face for most of the dance, you know?
Mhm.
You're not you're not in a downward position and he's like just behind you and you guys are not having opportunity for discussion or making eye contact. Um so I think it really is the partner dancing that like allows you to kind of like move with each other and different things like
Mhm.
that that allows you to um, have to respond to each other in different ways than like just twerking on somebody.
Right.
and an example, yeah, go ahead.
No, no, no. I was just going to say, and as your skill level increases, there is opportunity for conversation. Maybe in the beginning of dancing, you're real focused on the steps, but as things
Definitely.
progress, like there will be room for conversation as well.
Yeah. And I think that's why people enjoy using partner dancing, obviously, for their weddings and like going to dance classes before they get married so they could do something. Cause I know that that little minute and a half that people watching you do your first dance, that's awkward. That's real awkward. So I think it's cool when like people go and they get actual dance classes so they can like do something funky for their
Yeah,
wedding day.
they work out a
Um
routine. Yeah.
yeah, but I was thinking about this and I'm like, the most fun I had dancing with a boy because I went to the little team clubs, you know what I'm saying? I was dancing with the boys, um, just to get them to like me and whatnot, or just to say I danced on this many boys and I got this many numbers and whatever. But the
Yeah.
most fun I had dancing was when um, I went, I think we were doing bachata or salsa at Bongos. There's this club in Orlando called Bongos, and I don't think I was supposed to be there because I was going to my Christian university. We're not allowed to be at clubs, but we all snuck out. We went down to Bongos, and I danced with this Hispanic guy, and I really enjoyed it because we're like, there's no expectation to be like sexual with him, you know, like just
Mm.
like I don't have to show him what I can do or whatever, you know. I don't have to. It doesn't have to be sexual. It can just be like us having fun and we're looking at each other and we're smiling at each other and like if you were to step on my foot, it's like, "Oh, oops, my bad," you know? It's like a fun obviously a dance, but that's the only way I can kind of explain it.
Yeah, it's this interaction where somehow, even though you are performing, right? Like you two are doing a choreographed move, pressure is
Mhm.
lessened, and there's just this freedom to enjoy the music. And as skill is built, then you get to like have fun, especially as a follow, discerning and sensing the lead, and like
Mhm.
awesome, beautiful things happen, really cool moves. And yeah, it's a fun experience of being graceful and being led and like just it's collaborative. I love dancing
Mhm.
so much. It's so much fun.
Yeah, so and I see you're talking about, like, being led and following. What do you think that would do for a relationship? Because obviously you're in a dance class, you're just dancing, but how could that translate into a couple or a marriage?
Yeah, I think part of it depends on what else is going on with the couple or with the marriage. Like
Mm.
sometimes at dancing is going to exacerbate problems or highlight challenges with communication or an unwillingness to lead or an unwillingness to follow or not trusting each other. It's going to exacerbate that. But I think for people who are not married, or maybe people in, maybe it goes across, any kind of dating, married, engaged, any of those relationship markers. I think dancing as a couple, well, taking a lesson together, is this really concentrated opportunity to work some things out. Like you have
Mm.
this focus and you have this thing that you're doing that's not your finances, it's not your kids, it's not household chores, it's just we're here to dance. And so you get this, it can be an opportunity to practice maybe skills that are challenging in another part of your relationship. Like um I'm married, and maybe sometimes in my marriage, not maybe, sometimes in my marriage, it's hard to trust my husband's leadership. I want to
Mm.
know all the answers and every thought he's thinking and tell me all the, maybe you should write a white paper and give me your outline and let me know all the details because I just want to know and I'm not inside of your mind.
Mm.
But when we dance, I get this physical, like bodily opportunity to notice where he's leading and grow my intuition in following him. So, I mean,
Mm.
that's a very, uh, it's not a super concrete example. I'm giving an example of like how it could work out. But I think for dating couples and married couples, like the opportunity to grow together through dance is, it's really there. It can be a really powerful
Mm.
thing, but it's not going to be automatic if outside of the dance class we're struggling with clear open communication, we're stonewalling, or in other ways
Mm.
not facilitating a healthy a healthy relationship.
Yeah. So would you say that it could probably work out those things? Like it could be it sounds like it could be therapeutic for people.
I mean, it definitely can. I don't think it's going to, like, I'm not saying everybody sign up for a dance class and then everything will be fixed, but it can
Right.
be, right, it can be an opportunity to, just like in single life, right? Take some pressure off. So we're collaborating and give us a chance
Mhm.
to see, man, you are all right. Okay, maybe I can keep working with you with this budget thing or whatever the problem might be.
Yeah. And someone in the comments of that video that I posted was saying like, "Girl, in the beginning, I could not follow that man, and I had to learn to, follow him and let him lead."
Yeah. I mean, leads are figuring out their style. They don't, just because they're in that position doesn't mean that they know what they're doing. So they're
That's a
figuring it
beautiful
out.
point.
Yeah. And just like the follow is learning, what does it mean to be a follow in general? And then you two are coming together to say, how does this person lead? I mean, I remember that learning with my class teacher, who's an expert dancer and like can lead anybody. I felt like I should have been on a dance show. Like I was clearly the best dancer, but my lead was legit. But then when I
That's
danced with
good.
other guys, it was interesting to build that awareness of like, oh yeah, he's really subtle with the lead to turn. Oh yeah, he likes to do these spin moves, or like, he only likes to spin, so I need to tell him we got two spins tops and then I'm going to get dizzy and throw up. Like we got to, you learn different people's leading styles. And yeah, so if you're dancing consistently with the same person, there's that great opportunity to have one other connection point where
Mm.
you don't need the words so much, but you're still communicating.
Yeah, and that's literally the beauty of marriage, and I think you're saying, he's still learning to lead. I think that's talking to men in the beginning of relationships, like even in as a boyfriend or as a fiance, he's still learning to lead. So I think it allows you to have compassion for people as well. Like, you know what? This can reflect to our relationship as well. Maybe I can empower him to be the lead for me. Maybe I'm not trying to always be the lead and allow him space to make mistakes, allow him space to figure things out instead of
Mhm.
grabbing the lead position all the time.
Because it doesn't work. Like you can't dance with two leads. It's it
Mm.
will not happen. And you were saying like he's learning how to lead. He's already been leading himself. So he's learning how to lead this partner. He's
That's
learning,
good.
and quickly he's learning, okay, she responds really, really quickly. So I don't need to be as demonstrative. Oh, she might not really pick up, a different dance partner. She might not really pick up on maybe I'm being a little too subtle as a lead. So I need to be more demonstrative and help her see where I'm trying to go. Like he's adjusting to you. I think, yeah, I didn't realize I highly recommend this so much, but for couples, it's such a great opportunity to have this. I keep thinking the word visceral, this visceral bodily experience of something that's happening intellectually, emotionally, spiritually on other realms in your relationship that like you're working it out and seeing it demonstrated. It's so clarifying.
Yeah, definitely. I think the point you made too, that he's been able to lead himself. People, we need to. That's real. That's real right there.
Right?
We need to remember, like people were able to lead themselves before we got to with them. Maybe it wasn't the way that you thought they should have been leading themselves. Maybe his mattress was on the floor and he didn't do his dishes every day. Okay, but he was able to make it through the day
He figured
and
it
lead
out.
himself. Hmm.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, so I think it just allows us compassion for the leader, right? But then
Yeah.
also for the follower. There's a huge amount of trust in that. You have to learn to trust that person, right?
Yeah. If you're in a crowded ballroom or on a crowded dance floor and your partner starts leading you backwards, I mean, you don't know where you're going. You can't help yourself. He could be just unskilled and therefore leading you into other people. Oop, there goes your shoulder.
Mm,
Oh, there goes your head. Like you could be running into things. It definitely takes a large amount of trust that your partner's paying attention to you and your facial expressions, the communication that you're giving back, and also that he knows what he's doing or he's humble enough to own, I don't know what I'm doing. So let's revert back to
mm,
these simple steps so that we can stay okay. And we'll try again, the next dance.
yeah, and I think that's kind of the dance within the dance, humility and trust.
Mhm. Mhm.
Um, because and outside of dancing, that'll be swapping at different times, right? Where so one person needs to be more humble and the other person needs to be more trusting, and then flipping that as well. But I think it definitely tells you about yourself too, because if you have a hard time trusting your partner in dancing, then we can ask the question of where did that start for you? Why is it hard for you to trust me when we're dancing, and seeing like how it's reflecting in your relationship, and where did that come from for you? Was it in your childhood? Was it in a past romantic relationship where that person led you into someone else's shoulder,
Mhm.
um, or led themselves into someone else's arms, literally?
Yeah.
So
And is it more
it
global or is it just the dance? Like, is this more global about the relationship, or are you
Mhm.
just learning a new thing? Yeah, there
Mm.
there are really good things to suss out as if a couple were willing to do that. If both people liked it and wanted to participate,
Yes. Dancing. Oh my gosh.
who would have
There's
thought?
so much. There's so much in it because I don't know if you know about the Gottmans, but they are marriage specialists. Basically they do research and they do therapy, and they compare dancing to like salsa. Sorry, they compare marriage to like a dance or salsa. And I think they dance as well. They do salsa
Mm.
together, which is really cool. So they literally know that it can be like that. So yeah, it's just really cool how dance can relate to relationships as well.
Yeah,
Um, was there anything else you wanted to add about that?
I think that, yeah, the dancing relating to relationships, like the metaphor is just right there on the surface. Um, but I think it's also a really helpful thing on your own. You don't need to be in a committed
Mm,
relationship to really benefit from dancing, especially if the unhelpful parts of purity culture or other parts of your culture have like made it high pressure to date,
mhm,
like it was for me. Dancing really helped me like clear space in my head so that I wasn't unnecessarily burdening interactions, so that I was
mm,
able to get free and just engage with people and discern. Do I like this? Am I physically attracted? emotionally attracted? Like, is this person even cool? Or am I just hyped
Mhm.
up that they're not a girl and I'm
Mm.
next to them? Like,
Mhm.
it has been such a helpful experience. And I'll say this for the guys that are watching that feel intimidated or like nobody is going to let them date them or they feel really discouraged. I think it's dancing is one of those scenarios where everybody is expected to interact, so you don't have to think like question is am I going to dance with someone? Is you have an automatic
Mm.
win because you're at the class. So like
Mhm.
that can be a real help in getting experience to be comfortable interacting with women.
Yeah, and that helps with men. Obviously, men are the ones that are supposed to be pursuing women more than not. Um, so it helps with the fear of rejection too.
You build up
Like,
that tolerance. Like
mhm,
it's o if it's okay in dancing that someone says no to your dance, if you're able to get a rejection from a dance and reason for yourself, this doesn't mean I'm a bad person. This doesn't mean I'm never getting married. This doesn't mean I suck at life. It just means she didn't want to dance with me right now. That builds so much experience for the equivalent, which is okay, she didn't want to go out with me. She didn't want to give me her number. Nothing about
mhm.
my awesomeness has changed. I just don't go out with this person and it's all good.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think it's helpful too because you don't run and hide at a dance class, right? You gotta just go to the next girl. Go to the next person that's right there next to you. You try again, and somehow the dance teacher is gonna help you find somebody in that room to
That's
dance
right.
with. And if not, they'll dance with you. The dance teacher will dance with you.
Exactly. Yeah. There's no losing.
Mhm. Yeah, and that reminds me of God, you know what I'm saying? That's beautiful.
Come
He
on.
gonna dance with you, even
Right?
if you don't have somebody to dance with.
That-
Come on, somebody.
That's right. That is right.
Aw, look at God. He's so good. But one of the things that the girl said in the video was, the more confident he is, the easier it is to follow. So can you talk a little bit about that?
I've definitely had that experience. The more confident, and I think that's interesting that she said the more confident. She didn't say the more skilled. She said the more
Mm,
confident he is, and maybe she means
that's
skilled,
good.
but when someone owns, I'm about to lead this thing,
Mhm.
then you know, all right, even if we do the same four steps the whole time, he led that thing. And I didn't have
Mhm.
to wonder, guess, try to anticipate him and trip over myself. So, yeah, there's an ease that comes. I think if we relate this to dating, I think one reason dating is hard for a lot of guys is that they don't feel as confident leading or they're trying to discern. I don't want to get the bad reputation of being an alpha male, right?
Mm,
Dogmatic, and I'm going to bully someone into doing what I want to do, if that's even what an alpha male is.
mhm.
But there's also this, but I can't just leave it all to her. Like someone has to do the asking, someone has to make the plan for the date. And so
Mhm.
there's this, I was reading a book called The Art of Gathering, which is not about dating at all. And in it,
Mhm.
the author, Priya Parker, is saying parties need a leader. You need to lead your guests. You need to tell them what to do. That's not going to squelch the fun. And it just made me think of dating and like, is that part of what's happening? There's a dearth of
Mm,
leadership because people are trying to not step on toes, be too nice. And then
mhm.
nobody is saying, let's do this next. I have a plan. So
Yeah.
if a guy is inclined to see himself as a leader, um, there's nothing better he can do than to lead confidently from the beginning. He's leading
Yes.
himself, and then he's leading by saying, put your number in my phone. I'd like to take you out. Or
Mhm.
meet me here at this time. It's not the same thing as being bossy. It's supplying a necessary leadership.
Yes, yes. And I think the point you made is there is a difference between being skilled and being confident.
Mm,
But if men understand, like, you can build skill. You can build a skill. If you do it over and over again, you can build a skill, right? But being confident walking in, knowing that it's something I can try, just go in with your try. And that can translate to, trying to get a girl's number. You don't have to have the best pickup line. Like, girls really don't care about that. Just say, like, even if you're fumbling over it, like, can I need your number. It's like a fun interaction.
yeah.
To just be like, you know what? I always appreciate men, even if I'm not attracted to them, to try to approach me like, I will applaud you for approaching me because that's already scary enough.
Right.
I got a resting mean face. So just approaching me is like, you know what? I'm not attracted to you, but I'm flattered, I'll say to them, you know? So there's so much beauty in just trying and being confident enough to try. And I had a couple in my office lately. I think it was this past week actually. And she wanted him to lead, but in the beginning she's saying, "Oh, we're kind of just like a complimentary type thing." And I told him about this research that I saw. I think there's a video actually on YouTube. You could probably watch it where they just drop these. I don't know if they're toddlers. No, not toddlers. Maybe like I don't know how old they are. Like maybe 9 to 12. They drop these kids in a home and they just leave and they watch them from a camera.
Oh my gosh. That sounds
Yes.
terrifying.
So yeah. So at first they're doing crazy stuff, jumping on the trampoline, eating brownies and Cheez Its and all the bad things they could possibly get in their bodies. And they're running with scissors and just doing all the crazy stuff that they shouldn't be doing. And at one point the kids just start getting sad and they're like, "Where's my mom? Like, who's gonna make us dinner? Who's gonna feed us a real hot meal? Like, this was fun while it lasted, but like, we need somebody to take charge." And some of the little kids tried their best to take charge. They're like, they literally sat down and were like, "You can lead us," to one of the kids. And the kids trying to figure it out, like, I guess I can try to do this. Um, but the parents come back and they're like, "Oh, thank God they're back because we need someone to lead. We need roles, right?"
Yeah.
So even if it's not like, some relationships will say like, "Oh, well, I don't want to say that my husband is the head of the whole relationship." Okay, but there are things that you're better at and he's better at, and maybe things that he might be better at, but you still need to lead in. The couple that
Mhm.
I'm referring to is the wife is actually more well versed in theology, but she wants her husband to lead spiritually, and that's the conversation we just had. It's not about skill, it's about confidence,
Mm.
right? So if you feel
Yeah.
like you can sit down and I had to kind of use sale words because he's a salesman and he didn't feel confident in sitting down and having a conversation with her. I said, if you can sell it to her, sell her the chapter. And all she wants to see is that you can take lead. So I think that's a really good point you made between skill and confidence.
Mm. And I think you made the great point of bringing up followers, women are great, can be very gracious. I mean, there's always an exception to a rule, but there are so many women who are like, I don't need you to be perfect. I need to see your effort. I don't need to see perfect execution every time. I just need to see that this is something you're aiming to do, that you consistently bring up spiritual things. You don't have to give me a dissertation every week for your couple as example, but like, can you
Hmm.
say, babe, let's pray? Can you initiate spiritually focused engagement, even if you're not the more knowledgeable person? Like that goes to the heart. That's that's way more important.
Yes.
Mm.
Um, yeah. And who would have thought dancing would bring so much of this to, the surface? But I think it is just a beautiful thing. So I guess like last things, like what do you think you if you could encourage someone to dance or, either by themselves or in a couple, what's like the lasting thing you want them to hear?
Mm. Um, this is probably really human, but I feel important to it feels important to say the thing I'm about to say. It didn't originate in my mind. I read it. I read I don't know his last name. His first name is Connor. His handle is Man Talks, and he recently posted
Yes, love him.
in he's terrific, such helpful information and a really winsome approach. But Connor was posting about our relationships and he was encouraging men to pay attention to what happens inside of themselves when there's relationship conflict or their partner is doing, I don't know, they're having a conflict or having some sort of interaction. Pay attention to what's happening to themselves. And so I think that that's important advice. You're not going to it takes two people to dance, and you're not going to be able to be your partner or fix them. So as you're having these interactions, if you're single and going to a dance class, which I would say like sign up for weeks of a class, or if you're partners and partnered and going to a dance class, pay attention to what's happening inside of you. What parts of the process make you feel anxious, or what parts are you really enjoying? And practice noticing that and communicating that to your journal, to your trusted community, to your partner, because I think the lessons that we talked through that happen in dancing are there for you, and they're going to be specific to you. So
Mhm.
really pay attention. How does this feel? Where am I uncomfortable? What am I thinking? And I think there's so much growth opportunity when you do that.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. That is really helpful because there is a possibility that they will go to this dance class and trip over feet and get frustrated with themselves,
Oh, not a
or with the other
possibility.
person, and
It's a probability. It's going to happen. It's definitely
yeah.
going to happen.
Mhm. Yeah, they're definitely gonna end yeah, they're definitely gonna end up experiencing that, and then you don't want to go home holding that by yourself, because it's good information for the person you're in a relationship with, but also with yourself, because if you just drop that there and say, "I'm not even thinking about that experience, I'm never going back there again," you're missing out on an opportunity for growth as well.
Yeah. I mean, I remember vividly a particular night of dancing where I felt like I messed up every dance. And it was interesting. It turned in my
Mm,
head into like, none of these men like me. And then it was like, I mean, do I like these men? Am I really putting my whole value in a 3 minute and 30-second dance? That can't be it. And it was a really
mhm,
helpful point to like reel it back and say, well, if I need to figure out my beauty, all right, I need to do that. But this is dancing. That's not what's on the table right now. Right now, it's just
mm,
the thrill and the enjoyment and the pleasure of something I really like doing.
yeah, and I think that's a great point too, because it allows you to be completely present. You don't have to use a phone, a tablet, a computer, a laptop, or like a screen to engage with this. You're literally just being present with that person, and we lack that so much in 2023, or just in general. In many years since technology was created. So just being able to have a shared experience with someone that has nothing to do with a screen. You can't hold your phone while you're doing it. I guess you could like pause to do that, but it
Precisely.
takes a lot more focus to do that.
Which is a blessing to be
So,
fully engaged, like you said. Yeah.
yes, yes. So, thank you so much for coming on the pod. Can you tell people where to find you?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for having me. I'm on Instagram and Facebook and Pinterest, and I'm not really on Twitter, all with my name at Lauren Matthews, which is spelled unusually, Mathues, at Lauren Matthews. And you could find me at my website as well, laurenmatthews.com.
Perfect. Wonderful. Okay, so as you guys know, you can follow the Parallel at the Parallel Pod on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube. Remember to speak the truth in love, kiss the sun, and I'll be talking to you guys in 2 weeks. Bye.